What's up, guys? Welcome to Cage Side Connor. I am Connor. It's going to be my post show for UFC 321 and the fairly awful card that it was, or at least ended up being. Some good prelims, some good shit sprinkled in there, but you know what I mean. For the most part, pretty awful card. We're also going to be giving my take on the whole eye poke situation, and of course, future matchups for the winners of UFC 321 on the main card. That is, before we do that, guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, do all that good shit. I'd appreciate it very much. Let's get into the whole thing then here, guys. First up, then, of course, in your main event, Tom Aspinall did not defeat Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane did not defeat Tom Aspinall. The contest ends in an eye poke, an accidental foul. Cyril Gane, while Tom was coming in, I believe it was like 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the first round, ended up poking Tom Aspinall in the eyes, thus making it so Tom Aspinall could not continue the fight. And the fight was called right then and there, called a no contest, and we are kind of all left scratching our heads like, what the fuck just happened? This is a very frustrating one, and it's really unfortunate because when shit like this happens too, I kind of just find the entire MMA fan base pretty insufferable. You know, it's like everyone's either just saying Tom Aspinall quit. Tom Aspinall didn't want to continue, which is just a ridiculous idea, or that Cyril Gane did it intentional and that he's a dirty fighter, which I also think is kind of a ridiculous idea. I mean, a lot of the blame is on Cyril Gane here, but like not enough to the point where I would say he's a dirty fighter, or to the point where I would say he did it intentionally. Uh, so yeah, the worst part is I think is that we're left with this for just months now. You know, until the rematch happens, until the rematch gets booked, we're just kind of all left arguing with each other, which is really just kind of stupid. I kind of just think we need to be putting the blame on the right places, and I think the sole blame for this, maybe not the sole blame. Part of the blame does fall on Cyril Gane. I mean, the eye poke was egregious. He also eye poked Tom earlier in the round as well, and it's egregious. Don't get me wrong, but I just kind of think these things happen with these kind of gloves. I think these things are going to happen when the fingers are out of the gloves. I just think you're never really going to fully get rid of it. I kind of am in that camp of the argument here, that you're never really going to be able to fully get rid of eye pokes. But there are things that the UFC could do to mitigate the problem, I believe. So that's why I'm fully blaming the UFC here. I think it's really on them, and the athletic commission as well deserves a lot of the blame here, I believe. I think the UFC should be doing anything and everything that they can possibly do to mitigate this problem. And then you listen to Dana White at the press conference. He's just like, yeah, shit happens, you know. Fingers in the eyes is just gonna happen in MMA. There's nothing we can do about it. There's plenty they can be doing about it. I mean, whether it's deducting points immediately, which is a fine idea by me, even disqualifying Cyril Gane, that would have been fine with me, and giving Tom the win, that would have been fine with me as well. And that will be an example for future fighters, right? To, hey man, make sure you really got your fist closed, you know. Make sure you're not poking anyone in the eye because you're gonna lose a point. I even like the Jim Miller idea of taking a percentage of the fighter's purse if they do commit a foul. You know, I don't mind that one bit either. Um, but yeah, I just think ultimately all of that stuff falls on the UFC, and not to mention the gloves. You know, like we had new gloves last year in 2024 for about 6 months. The knockout rate apparently went down, according to the UFC and their stats, and then they went back to the old gloves. And also, John Jones complaining about the old or the new gloves, right? And then the UFC immediately backs down and goes back to the old gloves. I just think, why aren't we trying a different pair of gloves? Why are we also just going back to the same old gloves? Why are we just like, why did we stop trying anything at all? Is my question. You know, and that's really why I put the blame on the UFC, is that they're just not trying anything. And the athletic commissions, like, they're not trying anything. We're not trying any new rule change. We're not trying anything, because this just happens again, you know, and again and again and again and again. I mean, Michael Bisping doesn't even have a fucking eye in his fucking right eye because he got poked, you know? And this guy works for the UFC currently. He's a commentator. And we're not taking that as an example that we need to do something, anything. Like, why aren't we just trying and experimenting with everything here? Anything and everything is what the UFC needs to be doing. So I don't put blame on Cyril Gane or Tom Aspinall for the way that fight ended. I put it solely on the UFC. They need to do something about it. Literally anything. Try new gloves. Try all the new gloves. Like, why aren't we experimenting with every type of glove we can fucking find? Go to a regional promotion. Experiment with gloves there. See how it works out there. You know, UFC's tight with like LFA and all that, or Dana White Contender Series even. Just try the new gloves on a smaller promotion if you don't want to try it on the big stage UFC. I get that. Do anything. And then Athletic Commission change the rules. Deduct a point right away if a fighter commits a foul. Do anything, anything and everything. That being said, into the actual fight itself, what little we can say about it. We only got 4 minutes and 30 seconds of Tom Aspinall over Cyril Gane. I do think Cyril Gane was winning the round. I think he was looking very good. It was kind of like I was saying in the pre-show. If this fight, for whatever reason, stays on the feet, I truly believe Cyril Gane beats Tom Aspinall. If it stays on the feet, stays in kickboxing range like it was, Cyril Gane would have went on to win a decision over Tom Aspinall. I truly believe that. I don't think he's going to clip Cyril Gane with that fight-ending shot at any point throughout the fight. I think Cyril Gane's movement is too good, his kickboxing too good, he's too sharp, he's too clean with it, he's too quick. And I just think, that happens to all these guys at heavyweight at some point. All these guys with that one-punch knockout power that just run through guys. You look at it, Ngannou, Shane Carwin, all those type of guys. Whenever you're like that, you just have that one-shot knockout power and you're knocking everybody out in the first round. Eventually you run into a motherfucker where you can't knock him out in the first round, and you can't knock him out throughout the entirety of the fight, and you're gonna have to see how you do throughout 25 minutes, and that's what we were getting with Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane, and it's a damn shame that it ended the way it did. I don't know, maybe in the rematch Tom Aspinall double the legs Cyril Gane and takes him down immediately and chokes him out. I don't know if Tom Aspinall has that grappling ability. Seems to me that everybody's basing Tom Aspinall's high level grappling ability off the one fight with Volkov. That's really the only time we've seen him grapple for an extended period of time in a fight, and that's just not enough for me to say that Tom Aspinall is like a high level grappler. I will say, I mean, Tom Aspinall is a heavyweight from the UK. That is a recipe for bad grappling in MMA normally. So I don't really think Tom Aspinall. I don't think Tom Aspinall has the ability to take down Cyril Gane and choke him out like John Jones did, is basically what I'm saying. I don't think he could do that. I don't think he can run over Cyril Gane that way. So I want the rematch. I want to see it. I want to see how this fight goes for 25 minutes. It was shaping up to be a great fight. So it's very frustrating that we didn't get that, but hopefully we just get it down the line. That is the fight I'm recommending next. It has to be. I mean, we have to see this. We have to get a conclusion to this fight. Tom Aspinall over Cyril Gane too. Hopefully they can book it soon. I'd imagine we're waiting until like March-ish. Maybe they go back to London, do a London pay-per-view with Tom while he's champ at least, have him headline that card. That makes sense to me. Of course, we won't be doing pay-per-views anymore once we get to January. So do a London numbered card with Tom Aspinall headlining. Because apparently he's going to boxing in 2 fights anyways. So whatever, get him while the getting's good, and put him in a main event in London on a big number card. Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane too. And I'll be very hyped for this fight now, especially with how competitive the first round was looking in this one until the unfortunate eye poke. So I'll be hyped to see it when it does happen. I'm going to guess March in London. Or maybe I don't know, maybe UFC really hates Tom now and then going to do it in Paris, do a number card in Paris, which would also be kind of sick. But we'll see what they end up doing there. But it's the fight that has to be made. In the co-main event, Mackenzie Dern defeated Virna Jandiroba via unanimous decision. Gotta feel good for Mackenzie Dern here. It was a very cute moment with her kid coming in the cage at the end of the fight after she got the belt wrapped around her waist. Decent fight overall. Not as bad as I thought it would be, honestly. It wasn't great by any means, but it was still an okay fight to watch. I gave Dern the first and the 4th round, and then I gave Virna the 2nd and 3rd round. So I had it 2-2 going into the 5th. And I just thought Mackenzie Dern just did way more in the 5th round than Virna did. Virna got the takedown, but Mackenzie was doing work from the bottom and actually causing damage and trying to do literally anything in that 5th round. And I'm glad that judges ended up giving her the decision, and I think it was the right call as well. And Mackenzie Dern, she looked pretty good. Or I think a lot of people never thought Mackenzie Dern would be champion, me included. And I think she only is champion given the circumstances around this division right now, given Weili Zhang moving up and fighting Valentina Shevchenko next month, and given a few girls not getting matched up with her for the vacant belt. It's a weird one because I don't think Mackenzie Dern is the best strawweight in the world currently, but she is the one holding the UFC belt. There's probably two or three girls that I would put above her, quite honestly. So for the next fight, this can only really happen if Weili beats Shevchenko. Because if Weili doesn't beat Shevchenko, I'm assuming she's gonna come back down, and we're gonna immediately get Weili Zhang versus Mackenzie Dern for the belt. In which I will be picking Weili Zhang. I think that would be fairly obvious and a fairly easy win for Weili Zhang. But if I'm Mackenzie Dern, I'm trying to get a title defense in before any of that happens, and I would be calling out Tatiana Suarez. I think that is actually a winnable fight for Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern's kryptonite is going to be any decent striker with decent takedown defense. I think ends up beating Mackenzie Dern. So if I'm Mackenzie Dern, I'm pushing for the Tatiana Suarez fight. Suarez, a very high level grappler, but doesn't have much in the striking realm. And if I'm Dern, I'm kind of just hoping that both their grappling cancels each other's out, and it ends up being a striking fight on the feet. And I think Mackenzie Dern could maybe win that, probably win that. So that's what I'd be doing. That's what I'd be looking at if I was Dern. But I don't know what the UFC is going to do here. Again, I think a lot of it just depends on what happens in Weili Zhang versus Valentina Shevchenko. In the next fight on the main card, Umar Nurmagomedov defeated Mario Batista via unanimous decision. I had a good time watching this fight. I see a lot of people down on this fight online. I don't know why. I thought it was a great fight. It wasn't fight of the night or anything, but really fun scrambles throughout the entire time. The grappling exchanges were awesome. That fucking knee Mario Batista landed in the second round that dropped Umar was very exciting. So I had a great time watching this fight. I like Umar more and more. Watching that post-fight press conference with him talking about how he doesn't see himself as good as Khabib and all that, and him being very humble, I think was nice to see. Nice to kind of see that side of Umar and kind of get to know him more, because he's just been Khabib's cousin the entire time, and I think a lot of that probably has to do with him not speaking English very well, and the American audience not really being able to get to know him super well outside of just being Khabib's cousin. So we all just kind of assume he's, a little entitled because he is Khabib's cousin. But I think the more we see of his personality, the more I like him. And I hope they don't give him Merab next, which seems kind of likely if Merab beats Peter Yan, which I think we're all kind of assuming he will. But yeah, I hope they don't go to that direction. I would hope Khabib, being his coach, is kind of smart enough to be like, let's slow down a little bit. Let's let Merab get older and you get a little better. You know what I mean? Let's let Merab get out of his athletic prime, and then you get into yours and then fight. Because then it'll probably be, look, that's going to be a hard fight for Umar. That's going to be a hard fight for anyone versus Merab, no matter which way you cut it. And I just think the longer Umar waits, the better chance he has of defeating Merab. So don't do it quite yet. That's why I'm suggesting Umar Nurmagomedov for Sonya Dawn. Rumored that Sonya Dawn is fighting Sean O'Malley. I'd imagine that'll go on that January 1st Paramount numbered card in the beginning of January at some point, if that fight is happening. But if it's not, set up this fight. I think this fight was supposed to happen sometime before Umar got his title shot anyways, and I always kind of like the matchup of this. Sonya Dawn, pretty good grappling defense and huge power in his hands, so I'd like to see Umar tested up against that if Sonya Dawn's not fighting Sean O'Malley. If he is fighting Sean O'Malley, just do Umar Nurmagomedov versus the winner of that. That sounds awesome. I think we'd all want to see Umar Nurmagomedov for Sean O'Malley as well. So either way, good for me. Just don't give Umar a title shot quite yet. In your next fight, unfortunately, we have to talk about this one. Alexander Volkov defeats Jailton Almeida via split decision. This fight kind of sucked. I am glad the judges gave the decision to Volkov. I definitely gave Volkov the first round. What did he do in the first round? He ended up switching positions and getting on top of Jailton at some point, and actually did damage and actually threw punches, which you'd think Jailton would have learned from that, and then came out in the second round and actually did anything. But he did not, unfortunately, and Alexander Volkov did get the decision. I gave him the third round as well, even though he got taken down. It was very similar to the fifth round with the Mackenzie Dern versus Janji Roba fight, in that Alexander Volkov just did anything in the fifth round, and that ended up giving him the nod. Like I said, very glad the judges got this one right. Because it was a pretty terrible fight, but you got to feel good for Volkov after getting robbed from that decision from the Cyril Gane fight. His second fight with Cyril Gane. You got to feel good for him, and I just don't know where he goes now. The main event is kind of like the worst outcome possible for Volkov, in that he's now gonna have to sit and wait until after we get the Tom Aspinall Cyril Gane rematch, which could be quite a while, but he's getting older, so I'm sure he doesn't mind waiting. But I don't know, if he doesn't want to wait, he wants to be a G. He wants to keep fighting. He did take like almost a year off between fights before this one, so I can see a world where he wants to keep fighting. He needs to get paid. Fighters need to fight to get paid. So I'm gonna just suggest Alexander Volkov versus Derek Lewis too. Why the fuck not? I mean, I can't believe we still haven't gotten a rematch to this fight with how awesome the first one was, and how kind of legendary it was. That was kind of where the legend that is Derek Black Beast Lewis was born, and in that fight, or at least that's where he rose to stardom in that first fight. So I'm surprised we never ended up getting the rematch, and now seems kind of like the perfect time. I mean, winner of this could feasibly get a title shot, and yeah, I don't. We could be living in a world where Derek Lewis knocks him out again, and we're getting Derek Lewis versus Tom Aspinall, which that sounds fun as fuck to me. In your last fight on the main card, Azamat Mirzakhanov defeated Alexander Ragnick via TKO round one. This one surprised me. I thought Ragnick was looking good too, and yeah, he just man, I think Ragnick's chin is a little bit washed at this point, which is unfortunate because he's still pretty young in his career, but or maybe he just never had a great chin. He got knocked out with a jab here pretty badly, or knocked down at least, and then finished with some ground and pound. Azamat Mirzakhanov, now a big player in the light heavyweight division, which certainly needs new players. I'm going to suggest for him Johnny Walker, who's also coming off a big win. This makes a lot of sense to me, and I guess you can kind of just give the winner of this fight a title fight, honestly. I know Yuri's still out there, so I guess he would be next in line. But in the meantime, just do this fight and then kind of have a queue set up for however this light heavyweight division is going to go. Here goes a look at the rest of your prelims for the card. Really good prelims. That Jose Delgado versus Nathaniel Wood fight was awesome. Mateus Rebecki versus Ludovic Klein was fucking awesome as well, as we all knew it would be. Big shout out to Killian Salakit, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly, with that head kick knockout over Nasrat. Just fucking brutal. Nasrat was out for such a long time. Scary one to watch, but brutal head kick. Big things in the future for him. And like I said, shout out to Nathaniel Wood, Jose Delgado. It was probably my favorite fight of the night, if I'm being honest, because big Nathaniel Wood fan, and watching him overcome that knockdown from the first round was an awesome thing to see. For this card, I can't really give it a super high rating just because of what happened in the main event. I did really enjoy the prelims. The prelims were fucking bangers. Main card, kind of the Jalton Almeida Alexander Volkov fight, definitely a downer. Azamat definitely brought it up a little bit more. I did enjoy Umar versus Mario Batista, so I'm not going to give it the worst score in the world, but I am going to give it a 6.7. I'm still working on my graphic with all the other cards that we've ranked throughout the year thus far on there. That'll be up on the next video. But yeah, solid 6.7 for UFC 321 is what I'm going to give it. Let me know what your favorite fight was on the main card, or just throughout the card in general. Let me know what you think of the whole eye poke situation. What should be done about eye pokes? Let me know all that stuff in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, all that shit. Appreciate it, guys. See you in the next one.